Good morning. My name is Councilman Heenan, Chairman of the City Public Hearing today, March 24th, 2021. I understand that state law currently requires that the following announcement be made at the beginning of every remote public hearing as follows. Due to the current public health emergency, City Council committees are currently meeting remotely. We are using Microsoft Teams to make these remote hearings possible. Instructions for how the public may view and offer public testimony at public hearings of council committees are included in the public hearing notices that are published in the Daily News, Inquirer, Legal Intelligencer prior to the hearings, and can also be found on phlcouncil.com. I now note that the hour has come. Our clerk is Mr. Purcell. Mr. Purcell, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Mark Squilla.
All right.
Present.
Councilmember Jamie Gautier.
In the afternoon, he didn't notice it.
Excuse me, this is Councilman Heenan. Would all participants please mute themselves, please? Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to the public present.
Councilmember Helen Gim.
Good morning, Council Chair, and good morning, colleagues. I'm present.
Councilmember David O.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, colleagues. I am present.
Councilmember Alan Dom.
Oops. Good morning, Mr. Chair and colleagues. I am present.
Councilmember Curtis Jones Jr. And that's back to you, Mr. Chair.
And Bobby Heenan is present as well. And I want to say good morning to all my council members and colleagues and friends. Thank you for attending today. A quorum of the committee is present, and this hearing is now called to order. This is a public hearing of the Committee of Public Property and Public Works regarding bill numbers 200-677, 2100, 76, 210079. Will the clerk please read the titles of the bills?
Bill number 200677, authorizing the Department of Public Property to acquire on behalf of the city an easement in the area bounded by Chestnut Street, 12th Street, Market Street, and 11th Street, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 210076, authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to convey the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development a parcel of land situate at 2401 Chestnut Street for further conveyance, and authorizing the plotting upon City Plan number 307, a right-of-way for bridge repair, maintenance, and other reconstruction purposes, and for stormwater, sewer, and drainage purposes, all under certain terms and conditions. And Bill number 210079, authorizing the Philadelphia Municipal Authority and the Philadelphia Gas Works by Philadelphia Facilities Management Corporation, solely in its capacity as operator and manager of the city-owned Philadelphia Gas Works, to enter into certain transactions and contracts regarding the lease and license of portions of the premises located at 5000 Somerdale Avenue and 5501 Whitaker Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for the use of the Philadelphia Gas Works, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. I'd like to announce that bill numbers 200677 and bill number 210076 have been held at the request of the bill sponsors. As there are no scheduled speakers on these bills, we will announce that the hearing date will be coming soon. Before we begin to hear testimony from the witnesses we do have for today's hearing, everyone has been invited to the meeting to testify shall be aware that this is a public hearing and this hearing is being recorded. Because the hearing is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to be recorded. Additionally, prior to recognizing members for questions or comments, they have and witnesses, I have to note for the record at this time, we will use the chat feature available in Microsoft Teams to allow members to signify that they wish to be recognized. In order to comply with the Sunshine Act, that chat feature must only be used for this purpose only. And I also want to add, would you please make sure that everyone is on mute until it's your turn to be recognized as being a witness or a speaker in the chat feature. Before we call on the witness bill number 210079, would any of my colleagues like to make an opening comment, have any opening comments or remarks on this ordinance? Is there anyone in the chat, Mr. Brazel? All right, I don't see anybody. For the record, I'd like to make note that Majority Leader, Council Member Sherelle Parker, whose district this bill resides in, sent a letter to all members of the committee and respectfully urges the support for this bill, bill number 210079, as she does a wonderful job with her district and supports this wholeheartedly. So that being said, Mr. Brazel, would you please call the witness we have to testify on bill number 210079?
Yes, we have John Zook and Gamela McClendon.
Good morning. You are connected and ready to proceed. Would you please state your name for the record, and you may begin with your testimony. And thank you for being here.
Ella, will you be going first?
Yes. Mr. Brazel, who's our first witness?
John, you can go first.
Yes, John.
Okay, sorry about that. I had submitted testimony previously on this matter. At this point, I'm open questions. I don't know if you guys want to ask us questions and I can start answering them.
John, why don't you read your testimony, and then it'll give the members an opportunity to ask those questions if necessary.
Okay. Good morning, Chairman Heaton and member of the committee. My name is John Zook. I'm Senior Vice President of Gas Management at Philadelphia Gas Works. In this role, I'm responsible for gas processing, engineering, gas acquisitions, transportation and gas control, and facilities, including PGW properties. I am here today to offer testimony in support of Bill number 210079. Briefly, PGW desires to consolidate certain PGW operational functions to a new location in North Central Philadelphia as part of its ongoing building consolidation project. PGW has identified a commercial rental property semblance suitable for this purpose at 5000 Somerdale Avenue and 5501 Whitaker Avenue in Philadelphia. This property will be controlled and managed by NP Philadelphia Somerdale Industrial LLC, referred to as ND Somerdale, an affiliate of the National Warehouse Space Developer North Point Development. Upon purchase of 5000 Somerdale Avenue from the Philadelphia Authority Industrial Development, paid and lease and license 5501 Whitaker Avenue from an affiliate NP Whitaker Avenue Industrial LLC. NP Somerdale intends to construct an approximately 255,000 rentable square foot building for off and warehouse space at 5000 Somerdale Avenue, lease and license the building and other portions of 5000 Somerdale Avenue to Philadelphia Municipal Authority, as well as sublease and sublicense to PMA certain portions of 5501 Whitaker Avenue. PMA would then sublease and sublicense the same property assemblance to PGW substantially upon the term highlighted in the term sheet attached to bill number 210079. PGW has obtained an industrial market report prepared by SVN dated September 14, 2020, supporting the rental rate negotiated for the sublease. Approval of the terms of the proposed sublease has been favorably recommended by the Gas Commission. PGW management believes that entering into the sublease is in the best interest of PGW at this time due to financial benefit over the term of the sublease, and asks approval to enter into the sublease and for approval for EMA to enter into the lease and the sublease in accordance with terms of Bill 210079. MP Summerdale will enter into an economic opportunity plan approved by Mayor's Office of Economic Opportunity with respect to development of the leasehold. I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and also have with me PGW Council to PMA, and representatives of MP Summerdale as well, who can respond to inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we want to, is Camilla on line here?
Yes, I'm here.
Camilla, good morning. Are you offering testimony?
Yes, I am.
Okay. It might be a good time. Why don't you state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony, please?
Okay. Good morning, Chairman Heenan and members of the committee. My name is Jamela McClendon, and I am the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Gas Commission. The Gas Commission appreciates this opportunity to testify in support of Bill number 210079, which reflects the favorable recommendation to City Council unanimously adopted at the Commission's public meeting held on December 8th, 2020. This testimony is meant to supplement PGW's testimony. We respectfully request that this committee report out this bill with a favorable recommendation, together with the suspension of the rules, so that it may have its first reading at the next council session. On October 30th, 2020, PGW submitted its petition requesting Gas Commission approval of the proposed sublease between PGW and the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for PGW's North Operations Center to be constructed at 5000 Summerdale Avenue and 5501 Whitaker Avenue. Upon receipt, the Commission completed its customary due diligence and review of the proposal. The Commission's review found that the proposed transaction was reasonable as well as beneficial to PGW's ratepayers. Since 2015, PGW has been exploring the possibility of consolidating some of its operations at a centrally located site as a cost savings measure to PGW and to its ratepayers. These proposed savings would be realized through the reduction in the amount of operating and maintenance expenses PGW would be responsible for should it remain in its widespread and outdated buildings that make up PGW's current facilities footprint. The Commission's review also showed that the base rental rate was a fair and reasonable one, given the size of the parcel of land and the significantly higher amount of office space available at the site as compared to other industrial spaces in the area. The Commission also felt that the key terms of the transaction were both standard and reasonable for a municipal real estate transaction of this nature. The Commission has historically supported PGW measures that benefit its ratepayers, and this historical support prompted it to approve the proposed sublease after over 5 years of planning by PGW, and the Commission respectfully requests that the City Council do the same. If you should have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for your time and your kind consideration.
Well, thank you so much for your testimony. Before we open it up for questions for members of the committee, I want to recognize that we're joined by Councilmember Green, who is also the chair of our Gas Commission, and I want to offer him some opening remarks before we get into some questions for the members of the board. Councilmember, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to offer a few comments in this regard regarding this bill. As Ms. McClendon stated, our Executive Director for the Philadelphia Gas Commission, Philadelphia Gas Works has been looking at building consolidation for a long time. It's taken them a period of time to identify a parcel that was suitable for their needs, both now and into the future, as a way of benefiting ratepayers, but also being in a location that's centrally located for the wide operations for Philadelphia Gas Works throughout the entire city of Philadelphia. In addition, as part of this process, PGW has worked with a diverse array of businesses to help them locate this location. It's something that the Gas Commission has been monitoring for a number of years. And we, subsequent to their selection of this location, we also approved it at the Gas Commission. Based on our review and based on the long-term posture of PGW, feel that this is a great opportunity for PGW for having this building consolidation. If you're familiar with their existing location, it is definitely a seasoned building and buildings, and there definitely was a need to move forward in this regard. And based on that perspective, that is why the Gas Commission supported this decision by PGW that they've been working on for some time and feels in the best interest of the ratepayers of Philadelphia Gas Works and the City of Philadelphia. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council Member. And, I also agree this is a very good opportunity for this type of consolidation. With that, John, question or two for John or Ms. McClendon. This is more like Councilmember Dom's going to ask this question, but I'm going to beat him to the punch. All right. Have you had this property appraised, and how many appraisals have you had, and what was the comparables?
Yes, we did have this appraised, and there were several different SVN that did this work for us. And what we did was there was two other ones. It was a lease on Meeting House Road, and for the square footage, $825 per square foot, compared to another one, the lease for 2400 South Wacoka, and that was for $1125 per square foot. And this is going to be, this 1,000 Summerdale is about $9.12 a square foot.
Can you repeat the square foot again, please?
For the square foot for Summerdale, it was 1,000 square feet. The 5,000 Summerdale is $9.12 foot. $9.12 a square foot for Summerdale.
Okay, and the land is already for industrial use. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Okay, great. The consolidation. What are we consolidating? And I'm sure there's revenue and savings attached to the consolidation. Ms. McClendon, can you speak on that?
Actually, Mr. Zook, I believe, would probably be the best person to answer the question regarding the dollar amount of the actual savings. I can tell you that it's PGW's main aim, and again, Mr. Zook can go into more detail about this, is to consolidate its sites that are in the more towards the north of the city. So the Belfield Avenue station, which is dated. I can't recall the address offhand, but not PGW's main headquarters building, but the adjacent building. I believe it's 1835, John?
It's actually, there's 1849, which is right next to our main building. At 800 also is another building right there. Right down the street, we have our meter shop, which is that's 20,000 on 9th Street, 2000 block.
Right.
Also Castor Station, which is in the northeast, and Bell Station are the 5 properties that we're going to get out of.
Right. And the buildings that are adjacent to PGW's main headquarters, a lot of those actually date from the 1800s, correct?
Right.
So, there's a lot of remediation that needs to take place, but you can speak with more authority on the actual sites and the dollar savings to be realized than I can.
Yes, to avoid the ongoing capital investment, we're going to save about $91 million as net present value once we dispose of these other properties, and not having to put in the internal maintenance for the buildings close to here, one at the meter shop, and the 2 up for our FSD facilities at Belfield and Castor.
And the Gasworks have been thinking about or trying to. We've been working on the consolidation for quite some time. So it's not a new idea that you just came across or have been started to work on last year. Is that correct? It's been part of the master, business plan for the ratepayers at the Gas Commission over the past several years.
That's correct. It's been at least 5 years we've been looking at this. trying to find a good location, central location that we could utilize. Correct.
All right, great. Thank you. I want to now open it up to members of the committee. Has anybody on the committee have any questions for Mr. Zook or Ms. McClendon? Chair recognizes Councilmember Don.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for asking that question. Appreciate it. And thank you for presentations. I just want to make sure I understand in simple terms what we're doing here. Sounds like, maybe just explain this. We're consolidating some older facilities into a newer facility, basically? Is that
Correct.
right? And what is this? Is this a new build or is it existing construction?
No, it's a new construction.
How many square feet are we constructing in total?
About 255,000 square feet.
Okay. And PGW is going to enter into a lease for this space?
Correct.
And who's actually building the building?
And North Point Properties. They own the whole property. They own that portion. They also own the old Cardo site, so it's all one property.
And what is our monthly rent going to be?
$293,000.
And $293,000 a month
For the year.
for the year. Okay. Is there an option that would make economic sense? Has anyone looked at this instead of leasing that the PGW considers buying? Because I understand it's a 25-year lease, and interest rates today are like the lowest we've seen in 50 years. Has that been?
Yes, we did look at purchasing, but one of the downsides of purchasing this, we would only have one exit and entrance for the facility and the trucks going in and out. With North Point owned whole property, our trucks can go out of the Summer side and also the Whitaker side. So we negotiated so we can use the shared road to go out north and south of the properties.
I guess my question, though, is there an opportunity for us, instead of leasing this property, to buy this property from the owner?
Now, no, there's not.
I'm just saying, in this interest rate environment, the choices of leasing versus buying, we should be more focused, I think, on buying at 3.5% interest rates right now, especially if we're signing up a 25-year lease. Every landlord would want the credit of PGW probably on their books as a tenant. But I'd rather see us focus more on owning than renting. Well, thank you for your testimony today. I just want to put that in there, and maybe in the future we can look at those options. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I have a point of information.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Green.
One other point, and part of the challenge in trying to identify a location was finding a location that's going to make access to both the Northeast as well as to other parts of the city. PGW has been looking for this type of location that also has that industrial access. The challenge has been somewhat difficult to find a location that has this size and a price point that's beneficial for PGW and the ratepayers. Also, this location is the location of former Cardone Industries. For many people, well, some people may or may not be aware that Cardone Industries was one of the larger businesses in the city of Philadelphia from a remanufacturing perspective. They've since been acquired, and they've moved a lot of their operations, if not all their operations, out of the city of Philadelphia, unfortunately. So this provides access off Whitaker Avenue close to Roosevelt Boulevard. And this would, if not coming to this location, would also be a very large vacant industrial location in the city of Philadelphia. So it's a good opportunity to take advantage of a location that was used for a number of years in the city of Philadelphia in the 9th County District, and now put that back into reuse in a way that's going to be beneficial for PGW and provide the access points both for the Northeast as well as the center city, as well as the rest of the city of Philadelphia, because it's close proximity to Roosevelt Boulevard.
Thank you, Council Member. I'd also, John, I just want to, if you can, explain to the committee or inform the committee a little bit more on the property. So you talked about basically a shared or right of entry, with the common driveway and parking use of the entire footprint. But the new construction was a PIDC site that was adjacent that you acquired. Is that correct? And that's what made it additionally a little more attractive for industrial use in the consolidation?
Yes, it was. And plus the fact that for the bill, they do have an EOP plan that the city had put up. So it's something that we were excited about them having to follow also.
Okay, great. Before I recognize Councilmember Dom again, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Gim, who's requesting a clarification on a point of clarity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Council Chair. John, can you just clarify again, what is the rent?
The rent for the first year is $293,000 for the year.
For the entire year?
I'm sorry. Let me make a clarification.
The bill
Let me
says
get a clarification.
$193,000 per month.
Yes, I apologize. It's $193 a month. I apologize.
Okay, there's kind of a big difference.
Yes, there is.
So it's $2.5 million, it's around 2.3 million or 2.4 million a year.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to clarify that because I think my council colleague, didn't get quite an accurate answer. Thank you.
Yes, I apologize for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Don, did you?
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you, Councilmember Gim. That's why I wanted to come back on that, because I'm looking at this roughly $2 million rent per year and saying over 25 years, it's $50 million. Okay. And I'm looking at a structure that's how many square feet? 225,000 roughly?
255,000.
Yeah. Even if it cost us $200 a foot to build it, we would pay it back over 25 years and own it free and clear. I just think that buying right now is a better opportunity for the city and PGW. It's just something to look at in the future. I realize this deal is probably already at the finish line, but in the future, I think we should look at these opportunities to really help PGW and the city. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're helping, and we're helping others get great returns on their real estate. I'd rather see the city and PGW get that return.
Understand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Is there anyone else on the committee have any questions for any of our witnesses here today, Ms. McClendon and or Mr. Zuck? Thank you so much. So that being said, this will conclude the hearing of Public Property and Public Works. There being no further questions from members of the committee and other witnesses to testify, I will ask if there is anyone else present here today whose name I have failed to mention or failed to call that wishes to offer testimony on any of these bills, which is the one bill that we have here today. I do not see any, hearing none. I want to thank you all. I want to thank the panelists and witnesses for their participation today. As always, we value your opinions, and I now invite all panelists and witnesses to please disconnect from this meeting before we go into our public meeting. We will now pause for a moment of these proceedings briefly as the participants leave the hearing. This concludes the public hearing of the committee. We will now go into a public meeting to consider the actions to be taken on the bills before this committee here today. We are now reconvening our public meeting, and I'm going to ask Mr. Brazel, the clerk for today's hearing, to take the roll call. And again, for those members that are in attendance, would you please indicate, and additionally to saying present, mention your name and brief few words in responding so that your image will be displayed as you speak. Mr. Brazel, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Mark Squilla.
Present.
Councilmember Jamie Gauthier.
Present.
Councilmember Helen Gibb,
I am present.
Councilmember David O,
Present.
Councilmember Alan Dow,
Present.
Councilmember Curtis Jones Jr. And that's back to you, Mr. Chair.
And Councilman Bobby Heenan, Chair, is present as well. So thank you. We will now go into our public meeting. The Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion.
Councilman Dom, Mr. Chairman, Councilman Dom just had a question.
Yes. Councilmember Don.
I'm having concern. Maybe I need to be calmed down. If we have a building that's 225,000 square feet, do we know the cost to build that building?
They do have the cost for that building. Yes. I believe they have left this meeting. Councilmember Green, you are still in this meeting. Do you have that cost in front of you?
The cost in reference to building a building?
This particular building.
That I do not have in front of me. Give me one moment. Let me see if I can grab it. And I guess the question, Councilman Don, what is your question? And what information are you trying to gather?
I'm trying to figure out the cost to build a building, because typically a building like this might be $100 a foot. I don't think it's more than that. And at this square footage, it's 45 million. And when you do a loan over 25 years, it's almost the same payment as our rent. We'd wind up owning the asset. I'm just not sure I'm trying to get across is we need to start looking at things this way for the city benefits.
Well, I think that the challenge is, and I have to bring that information, is that the PGW has been looking for a property for a very long time. It actually predates the 5 years that Mr. Zook talked about, because of the challenge in finding a property that has the size and the capability that we're looking at. We were fortunate fortunate and unfortunate. Unfortunate because Cardone actually left the city of Philadelphia, but fortunate because that location was available in order for this to work. From my understanding, this actually has been going on not just 5 years, but probably close to 10 years. It actually goes back to during the time of when Councilmember Tasco was chair of the Gas Commission. They were attempting to do building consolidation, but had difficulty finding the appropriate location for this type of project. In fact, they were looking for locations on the boulevard. They had another opportunity that, if I'm correct, they were interested in buying, but were not able to work the terms with that property. So this has been an issue that's been in the works for quite some time. I definitely understand the perspective that you bring in reference to trying to buy a building as opposed to, but the concern and challenge is that if we continue to delay this perspective, if you think of the buildings that we currently do own and we're operating out of, that were built, as Ms. McClendon said, a long time ago, we'll have to make this decision of making capital investments of millions of dollars in order to bring those properties up to speed, and does not make sense to spend good money after bad.
I'm not questioning the move. I'm questioning the method of how we're approaching it, which is leasing versus owning. And I guess my question comes to is, did Cardone sell that property to someone else?
My understanding, that's how North Point came into the project.
So let me just give you the big picture here. North Point's an investor. They bought the property from Cardone probably for a song. They're going to lease it to the city.
Well, I'm not sure we can make that assumption they bought it for a song. I'm not familiar with the details of negotiations between Cardone and North Point.
I'm at a reasonable price. Let me rephrase the question. The profit on leasing it to PW, which is a bankable credit tenant for any lender. I'm saying that's a bad deal. I'm just saying that I'd rather be in the position of owning that asset for PGW. I'm just trying to help PGW.
So I totally understand wanting to, and I would definitely own property prior to leasing. I think at the same point, considering that this is a project that's been going on for 10 years at least, and I think at least 10 years into the future, and have not been able to find a location to lease or to buy. And that's how they were finally able to come to this location. And even this location has been going through a period of negotiations that's been going on for some time. That dates at least a year in negotiations.
Thank you both council members. For I'm going to a couple things this conversation because I remember Dom is just making suggestions and his personal opinion why are we leasing term as opposed to purchasing when $50 to $60 million over the term. So they are very legitimate questions. I think, and North Point did buy this. I don't know what the purchase price was, and yes, when you purchase industrial properties and land, it's even at that market rate, it's a lower value than commercial for sure. But North Point did buy it before Gas Commission could enter into any kind of long-term agreement. And location, which Council Member Dom is not disputing, is actually kind of it's centric, right? It's perfect for the use. It's zoned for the use. There was an opportunity for a PIDC, a piece of land that was adjacent to it, which will enable for a new building, a new modernized building, as it was mentioned earlier in today's hearing. That was, most of our buildings are dated, some dating back in the 1800s. So along with those dated infrastructure has environmental exposures and lack of technology. So this will bring us up to modern technology for the ratepayers in a convenient and an efficient way. And Councilmember Dom, as always, thank you for looking after the city's best interest when it comes to our finances. So I just wanted to state that for the record because Councilmember Dom was not disputing, all right? He was just pointing out, why, we chose to go in a different direction. And I think, what it comes down to is location, and timing with another owner, purchasing the property prior to entering in any kind of lease. If that makes sense, Councilmember Green.
Yes, and also a point of information, my understanding that PGW initially came into this opportunity trying to purchase the property. We're not able to meet the terms, and that's how we got into the situation of the lease for this location.
Okay. Councilmember Dom, do you want to add anything before we move on?
I'm good. Thanks for your comments, Councilmember Ewing. Thank you. Absolutely.
Appreciate you. Thank you. We have taken the roll. Now the chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla on a motion on bill number 210079.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the bill number 210079 be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation. And further, with the rules of council be suspended to submit the first reading of this bill at the next session of council.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second by Councilmember O. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. Motion carries. Bill number, what are we at here? Bill number 210079 has been reported out of this committee with a favorable recommendation with the suspension of the rules as to be heard at our next session of council. I want to again remind everybody and the general public that bill numbers 200677 and 210076 were held at the request of the bill's sponsor. This will conclude the business before the Committee of Public Property and Public Works, and I want to thank you all for your due diligence and your consistency in championing what's right for the ratepayers and the people of the city of Philadelphia. So thank you all and have a safe day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.